Hi, this is Billie Beene here with Truth by Billie Beene Flash. Today's date, December 6, 2024. Time in Texas about 4 p.m. Was a nuke detonated off the west coast of the U.S. to produce an earthquake yesterday? And is the deep state trying to bring in something like Ebola? So let's get started. I have some information from my Patriot subscribers. One is talking about the CEO, and I have more information on that today, of United Healthcare, who was assassinated, and says this was a professional hit. The shooter used a subsonic ammunition that's less powerful but quieter, and individuals use this type of ammunition, semi-automatic, when they want less blowback power to cycle in for the next bullet. And I have this also, that there were the shooter left at the shooting site 3 bullets that had words written on it: delay, deny, depose, and also 3 unused bullets. Now, my thinking is, could it be that the 3 unused bullets indicate that we could possibly see 3 more high-level assassinations of individuals in the healthcare field? Maybe. And we had 3 that definitely were left at the site, along with a pre-positioned throwaway cell phone. So that's going on. And now we have individuals coming out with information and misinformation. So this appears to be, to me, definitely a professional hit involving, we're being led to believe this one white male who escaped on a bicycle. Multiple videos are coming out saying this is him, and it's my perspective that possibly there was one shooter, but there were many individuals involved in the setup of the scene. So, yeah. Can we say CIA or other agencies, maybe the FBI and so on? Or maybe it was just a deep state hit. At any rate, no one disputes it was definitely a hit. And now we have this. I have another Patriot subscriber talking about the assassination of Brian Thompson, 50, CEO of United Healthcare. That reminded her of a movie that Denzel Washington was in. And I recall that movie vaguely. The main character, Denzel Washington, I think he went in to hold some people hostage because they were denying health care to his son. And I looked it up. The name of the movie is John Q. And some of the major healthcare companies I came up with in my research that might want to add additional security for their CEOs involve Humana, Aetna, and Blue Cross Blue Shield. And also some other, these are Medicare companies I just listed, because United Healthcare handled a lot of Medicare claims, but they handled other areas of health. So some additional companies that might want to increase the security of their CEOs would be Eli Lilly, J&J, and AbbVie, ABBVIE. So that's going on. We see conspiracies everywhere. And I have this from a Patriot subscriber talking about the earthquake that happened off of California yesterday. We heard in Oregon that Crescent City was evacuated for a while. And we are all on alert, and says that Crescent City was hit very hard during a tsunami in the 60s. So, yeah. I have a Patriot subscriber who says, no more money to Ukraine. I agree. I have a Patriot subscriber talking about Fannie Willis, DA in Fulton County, Georgia. Fannie Willis needs to be in jail, and all others who are going against President Trump. Well, let's see what happens with that new sheriff in town. I have a Patriot subscriber talking about the earthquake off of the West Coast. There was a sharp pulse, could have been put out by HAARP or Tesla harmonics device, placed at a depth to detonate. And and yesterday when I put the information out, I ended it with, I'm just saying, pointing out that strong wave from a very shallow depth. Just say it. And now we have this. I have a Patriot subscriber talking about the earthquake, or it could have come from an underground facility detonation. And I have this. Suspicious observers, Ben Davidson, said that generally when you have an earthquake, it has to be of a certain size to produce a tsunami. And he says about an 8 to an 8.5, or involve a major landslide and volcano. So he's implying that a 7 earthquake generally will not produce a tsunami. So that's good for us to know now. I have this from Steve Quayle's aggregate site. The source is Squawk. There were blue lights, like orbs or UAPs, over the water along the U.S. West Coast, implying there could have been, an outside source for the earthquake. Now, this is coming out. This was a contact that Hal Turner had, who said that we're seeing off this coast, we've got like 3 plates intersecting, 3 tectonic plates. But this geologist is implying a pattern that we may begin to see a pattern of earthquakes like occurred before we had that major 9 earthquake, 2011 in Japan, Fukushima. Now, I submit this information is coming forth that we could begin to see a pattern of earthquakes off the West Coast that could lead up to a 9 category earthquake. And this geologist says we began, a pattern of 7s and was indicated before the 9 days before it happened, and implies that we're seeing the same indicators off the West Coast before we saw in Japan in 2011. Now, I have this coming out. We know that we have international situations going on between Russia and Turkey. So I'll cover another part when I get to Russia and Turkey. Okay, we have new information coming out this afternoon about what's going on off the coast of California that would imply possibly there was could have been a small nuke, could have been a tactical nuke, could have been scalar waves, but it's definitely implying a not natural occurrence for the earthquake. There was a 7.3, and then we had a 7.0, a 6.0, a 5.9 off of the west coast of California. Now this afternoon, we have increased radiation being detected in San Diego. I think the level is about 600 counts per minute, and a norm would be about 200. And this is being measured by the EPA sensor network and also by private industry, a nuclear emergency tracking network. That's a private industry. So we have two sources. Recording this afternoon, there was a 3 times the normal gamma radiation off of the west coast of the U.S. near San Diego. Now, Hal Turner is putting this information out also about currents. So we had the earthquake, and he's bringing this out. We have a current in the ocean, the North Pacific Current, and then it comes down to the California Current, and then we have a smaller current that would bring it directly into San Diego, and this is where the elevated gamma ray radiation is being detected. Now, what are the sources for gamma ray radiation? One is from space, and one is from nuclear bombs and that type thing. So that's going on. And the effect on human health of gamma ray radiation, it mutates DNA, of course, causes skin burns, cancers, radiation sickness. So I submit that's going on. We saw this just yesterday. We saw that earthquake occurring at a depth of 0.6 kilometers, or about 2,000 feet, and additional information is coming out from the seismic, the instrument that would detect the energy. We would normally seismic a monitor for earthquakes, saying that the seismic signature of the earthquake off the west coast did not resemble a natural earthquake, but rather resembled that of an explosion. In other words, in a normal earthquake, you would have a buildup, and then a big spike for the major earthquake. In this case, we had no buildup, we just had a big spike. This implies an explosion. I submit there's plenty of evidence, and I could see that yesterday, but now we have additional pieces of information coming out to substantiate, support the conclusion that quite possibly we had a nuke detonated off the west coast of the U.S. yesterday. Now, I'm fully on board with believing the deep state could have done this and then put forth it's Russia, Russia, Russia. So, but my inclination yesterday is just fortified by this new information that most likely that earthquake we saw off the west coast was not a natural earthquake. So that's going on. And now what we have, I'll cover this. So we have a mystery pandemic coming out. So in Cleveland, Ohio, at St. John's Hospital, yesterday, they had a person who had flu-like symptoms, but he had recently traveled to the Congo or Tanzania in Africa. And so St. John's Hospital responsibly put him in isolation, and the workers around him began to wear hazmat outfits because coming out of Africa, the Congo, there is this mystery disease that began, and Hal Turner had some more information on that. Began in October 24 in the Congo. We have varying death rates, which is what you expect. So you get formal death rates from like a government source or a health source, and you get varying health rates in terms of deaths at the local level. This is because the deaths occur at the local level. It takes a while for them to go through the recording system of the government or health facility. So it appears in the Congo since October 24 that 376 people have contracted a mystery flu-like disease that has typical symptoms of the flu, like a cold, a fever, runny nose, cough, respiratory issues, but a clear indicator to me that this is a mystery disease is another characteristic being put forth formally by health organizations, that it has flu-like symptoms plus anemia. Anemia is not associated with flu. So at any rate, from the Congo, since October, 376 people infected, 143 people dead. So that would give us a death rate of about 38%. So then, yesterday, this male, it's believed to be a male, they really didn't identify him in the presser that St. John's Hospital responsibly put out yesterday. Was a patient. It was just described as a patient, not identified as to gender, only that this individual had recently visited the Congo and Tanzania and came in with flu-like symptoms and anemia. So the hospital, being aware of warnings it had received from various health organizations, immediately put the individual in isolation, put their workers in their hazmat outfits, and did a presser, stating that, yes, they had the individual at their hospital and he was in isolation, and they were taking all, handling the situation responsibly. Well, we had another source come out today, Friday. So this happened yesterday. And I'll explain what anemia is. It's when there's a sudden drop in the human body of red blood cells. One of the primary functions of red blood cells is to carry oxygen. So if you have a sudden drop in or a drop over time of the red blood cells in your body, you're going to have problems breathing. And causes can be internal bleeding, can also be an iron deficiency, can be a disease like HIV or AIDS, and so on. Anemia. But anemia typically is not associated with the flu. So yes, I can say I would be apt to describe this new disease coming out of the Congo as being a mystery flu. that has this unusual characteristic of anemia. And so this came out from WKYC-TV in Cleveland today, that the patient in the St. John's Hospital in Cleveland, Ohio, was taken in Thursday morning, put in isolation, and then today's update, December 6th, he's out of isolation and his condition is routine. So praise the Lord for that. So that's going on. And now we have this. So I'll cover a little bit about what's going on so we have the Middle East, Syria, we have Lebanon, we have Israel, Iraq, Iran. Now, this could clearly be the kickoff of World War III. And Turkey's up here. So we have terrorists in Syria, HTS, formerly Al-Qaeda, HTS. But we have other terrorist groups. And we have squaring off against one another. We have Syria, Israel. We have Turkey's in this group, and the U.S. against Syria, Russia, Iraq, Iran, plus. Okay, so now we have HTS. We also have on the border another group called the Kurds, who are backed by the U.S. And we have another group backed by Turkey. So Turkey is betraying both Russia and the U.S. and Israel. And now Turkey is coming in and getting their terrorist groups to attack the Kurds and the HTS, because Turkey wants land and they want money from Syria in oil and gas. So Turkey is betraying everyone. So we have this going on though. And Russia has bases, and the U.S. base in Syria today has been attacked. So we have Syria, we have Homs, Syria, we have a U.S. base. The U.S. base was hit by Iraq. That happened today. But we had the U.S. hitting Iraq troops yesterday. So this looks like a tit for tat. Now, Dialogue WERX interviewed Dmitry Orlov, a Russian specialist, who's talking about Russia is getting ready. So this, what's going on in the Middle East, is also tied to Russia and Ukraine. So Russia readies to make massive hits in both Ukraine and in Syria. And so that's going on, while Erdogan of Turkey betrays everyone. And this is coming out from the Russian government. So, if you didn't know that governments and militaries have devices that can produce earthquakes, yes, they do. Russia gives a threat to Erdogan of Turkey. Remember the earthquake you had February of 2023, and I looked it up. That was a 7.8 earthquake. Death count 54,000 in Turkey. Yep. And it was also felt in Syria. So Russia was implying that perhaps Russia was involved with the 2023 major earthquake in Turkey. And President Putin yesterday said to President Erdogan, "Do you want another earthquake?" So that's going on. And now we have this. Yep. So we see NATO at work trying to take over many governments. One is in Syria. One is in, so we have Russia. We have a nation, Georgia. And now Romania. So NATO is trying to overthrow all the governments in these nations and take control. So in Romania, according to the BBC, so they had 2 weeks ago a new president elected in Romania, George Skew. But oh, NATO doesn't like him because he doesn't want war. He wants to elevate the Romanian people. So what NATO is doing is they're trying to get the current president to cancel elections. So they had one election. Apparently in Romania, they have a series, they have first vote, second vote, and so on. So in the first vote, Georgiou was elected by the people 2 weeks ago, and he's for the Romanian people. He doesn't want war. So now, NATO wants the current president of Romania to cancel the second vote. So it can be canceled, but it will have to be held sometime late in December or January. So that's going on. So we see NATO being very busy, don't we? Especially in trying to control governments. And now I have this. So on a good note, I got this off of Facebook. Attention, Walmart shoppers. You will now be required to unload the tractor trailers at the warehouse, in addition to your self-checkout duties. Yeah, we're seeing that across America, aren't we? So it would be good to pray for America, President Trump, and world peace. I love you, and I'll see you soon.